What's going on, guys? Episode 2 of the Flexibull podcast here. I am super pumped for this guest. He is a guy that kind of inspired me to get the Flexibull brand going. His name is Logan Fitz. Logan motherfucking Fitz, thank you for coming on the podcast. So stoked to have you on. How you doing, brother?
Dude, doing fantastic. No complaints on my end. Life's good.
Life is good, man. It is NBA draft night, so I'm rocking my Knicks hoodie. It's bad time to be a Knicks. Yeah, it's the draft tonight at 7:30. This podcast takes priority, and anyone who's listening to this is going to be.
I genuinely that's the first NBA draft news I've heard.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a Knicks fan. Don't love the NBA. I didn't watch one tip off or one bounce pass of the NBA finals this year. The whole bubble thing threw me off.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. It's ever since I quit playing college ball. I just realized for me, I just don't have any interest. I'm not playing. Fuck them. That's honestly.
You were a basketball player?
I didn't play. No, I played football in college.
Okay.
I played basketball my whole life. When I was 12, I could have told you anybody's stats from anywhere. But now it's just interesting. I haven't looked at it at all, really.
It's also weird, and especially because it's the draft night, that these kids are our age now too. You know what I mean? The kids are gonna get. I mean, they're younger than us. It's pretty wild. But yeah, dude, the whole bubble threw me off this year. It was off the NBA. Maybe we'll get back into it. I was trying to tell you before this podcast, I got pushed out of New York City just due to the pandemic. But the Madison Square Garden, regardless of the Knicks, how bad they are, it's a pretty electric environment. But I want to talk to you about bubbles. I want to talk to you about the Twitter community, your Twitter following. You can follow yourself at LogFitz6. Like I said in the intro, Logan, you have been an inspiration to many, but for me, selfishly and personally speaking, following your account has been super enlightening, and it's almost been a blessing in disguise. It's super cliche, but it found me at the right time. I've been following your content, and I've kind of myself been immersed into this Twitter world. And I would love for you to talk about this, talk about yourself and how you came to indulge in this whole community of absolute kings.
Yeah. So, I mean, I first found it. I don't remember how it was. Just I have had a Twitter account since I was in high school. I used it mainly for recruiting stuff back then. But it was really weird. Right before a couple months before I dropped out of college, I was going through a weird time. This is when I was kind of banged up. I had some health issues. My knee was kind of trash. My college career just wasn't what I thought it would be. And also too, I hated school. It was just so dumb to me. And so I kind of went through a big paradigm shift there, and I started calling my social media a little bit. It started on Instagram because I mainly used Instagram back then. And I basically went through and unfollowed a bunch of the girls we all follow, or I used to follow, whatever. And just started replacing it with good stuff. And I also kind of went down the conspiracy rabbit hole and got woke, so to speak. So I replaced all of that, just a bunch of people from my hometown I didn't really care about. And started replacing it with all those accounts. And it was just all the very cliche, business accounts, conspiracy accounts. A lot of the people in the fitness world that I looked up to, and because I've been in that space, reading stuff online since I was 15. I've always been kind of obsessed with it. So I started doing that, and then I was maybe I'll start doing this with my Twitter a little bit too. And so I started to do that. And then one day I got retweeted. I think it was do you know Assad off Twitter?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the first account I saw. And I was oh, this is sick. These dudes are making it. And then as a fresh college dropout, cause I dropped out, literally I saw an ad one night. I was already fed up, but I saw an ad from one of the drop shipping bros, one of the 17-year-old dumbasses, flexing his whatever it was. And I was okay, there's a 0% chance this kid's smarter than me. And so I literally dropped out the next day. And so then I got retweeted in that quarter of Twitter. I found Assad, and then there was Nate Schmidt. I don't know if you're familiar with Nate Schmidt, but I saw his stuff. And it was like, he had like the same, like kind of, just like kind of sarcastic sense of humor. And he's been crushing it for a couple of years. So I saw him, and then it just like opened up like a whole can of worms. And there's all these accounts. And then I found some of like the really cool Anon accounts, which just pulled me into like, it's really an interesting space. Like,
it's such an interesting space. That's why I wanted you to talk about it.
yeah, I saw it like, I saw that, I don't know who said this first, but I saw this and it really stuck with me. I think about it like as the way the nodes like of the internet kind of connect to each other, right? Like if you imagine you had a piece of paper, right, laying flat here, and there's all the ideas on the internet. Like Twitter is the perfect way for all of them to co-conglomerate because of the viral sort of sharing nature of it. And so I would really just, every time I'd see something interesting, I'd click through, and then I'd find someone else that had a really cool idea or whatever it was. And I just ended up where I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think the algorithm works that way. And that's kind of what I came across your account with. It was just one account after the other, and you just keep clicking and you find some super interesting people. You find some super interesting ideas and themes. And again, man, like I'm speaking from experience. It's seriously like reshaped and rewired like my life and the way that I think and go about my days. I don't know if you think about this. You cut out.
100% same.
Yeah.
Probably like a year and a half ago, or maybe no, it's coming up on 2 years ago now. But
congrats.
Yeah, 100% same.
It's almost like a group of accountability as well. That makes sense.
To a degree, yeah. I mean, at this point now, it's like it's very, at this point it's very easy to tell. Like, there's a lot of people on there that are full of shit. There are, but that's the same as anything. But it is. The way I look at it is not accountability, because you could easily fake it on there, right? Sure. But the way I think about it is, and the reason I'm grateful for it is now that I'm tapped in, especially I've made friends with a lot of these people, a lot of them I met offline in real life. It's accountability to the sense that I could never go back to the way I was before. It's just simply impossible, right? I've had my reality shattered so many times. You can only have so many friends who are making 50 racks online, doing whatever the hell they want, posting memes for 4 hours a day before that becomes your, like, that's what you have to have, or else you just can't go back from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you challenging the accountability aspect too, because you're right. It isn't an accountability. It's more of like like I said, a rewiring of the mindset, and you have this standard and a new way of looking at life. Like, it's almost, you talk about this, and we're going to get into it, about the limitless playbook that you've put out. You talk about this gray mode, and you talk about how, the mainstream media and everyone wants us to think a certain way. And this kind of breaks your reality, like you said.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it really is it's basically subliminal brainwashing, really. And you curate that based on what you want. And it's pretty effective, I think.
Yeah. And, Twitter as a platform in general, obviously, as can any social media platform, it can be toxic. But like you said, if you use it in a healthy manner and healthy environment, you're doing a podcast with me. Unfortunately, we're Zoom call, but, you've met some really cool people offline. I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk. And, you meet some really cool dudes. And like you said, it's a web of connections and ideas, and everyone has like the same thoughts. Everyone obviously has to hold themselves to some high expectations. Did you think that you were going to be, and you still have room to grow, and you have room to grow, never satisfied. Did you think that you were going to be this kind of,
I'm just kidding. I feel
like you are
this, like, I'm super unsatisfied with where I'm at right now, honestly.
Good. You should. I was going to say, but you are like almost 2 years into the community, and you are, to my degree, a super, so what term are we going to use to call this circle? I want the listeners to call, we need a name. And I know it's tough to put a name on it, but for this community Twitter sphere of these sharp-minded alpha male kings with a goal to get better, get money, and fuck bitches.
People call it money Twitter. Part of me doesn't really like that, because it's more than that. And also too, there's some like weird stuff with that. I like to think of it as the decentralized internet. That's how I think about it.
I like that.
That's because that's what it really is. Like nowhere, like anywhere else on the, and you do have the little bit of censorship, whatever that's going on, but there's nowhere else where you can get decentralized internet and decentralized opinions, right? If you post about raw milk on Instagram, like eventually you'll probably get banned. If you post about all of these things, and the crazy thing is too, and so you have the censorship on the mainstream stuff, right? And then obviously when you go really decentralized, you go into like 4chan and sort of these really deep off the deep end, Reddit, things like that. You get into this really weird, like keyboard mom's basement LARPer type internet, which is good for expression of thought, but it's not very good when it comes to really understanding things and proving merit to these thoughts, right? Because there's a very thin line between something being an exciting idea and something pushing the limit and being wrong, right? And I also think too, one of the really big things that Twitter has is it's really intimate, right?
Right.
I could post all kinds of stuff on Instagram, on YouTube, on whatever, but Twitter is different because it's really like an unfiltered connection. It's straight from my brain, straight into yours. And I think that's another really powerful thing that it has.
Very powerful. I'm glad you touched on that. And, you talked about how, you're just getting started and you're not satisfied. Absolutely love that mindset and frame. I think, that just goes as far as, being your own brand or just anywhere in life. You can't have that sense of complacency. Complacency is a huge enemy. And I think you agree with that. I want to talk about confidence. I am like a strong believer that confidence is like 90% of life. And you come across as an extremely high energetic, you get that a lot, high energy, good energy, positive guy with a ton of confidence. You have that glow to you, right? And, we're in this day and age, this is November 18th in 2020. It's been a tough year and there's not too much upside, but we're focusing on what we can control on, not letting outside factors affect us too much from getting to our goals and where we want to be. I talk about confidence and what that means to you, and is that something that you think about on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, I've always been, and I can remember back to when I was like a kindergartner, first grader, I've always been I probably ride the line sometimes as too confident. Right? Like,
sure, you gotta find that balancing, like cocky and.
My soccer coach told my mom I was too cocky, blah 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 blah, and like I've always been very like outwardly confident, rather kind of cocky person. Like that's just my natural state. But I also think too that like I went through a few, and there's been times where I wasn't, right? And I think that. I really think that confidence is our default, right? People normally aren't like you, when you're born, you're confident. And this is really a lot of the way I think that everything that we work to do is actually really just unworking and trying to get back to you when you were like 8, right? And I've touched on it before on Twitter, but I really think it's our default state. And then you go into this world where you basically get it deprogrammed out of you, right? Especially for men, right? You're supposed to be laid back, blah, 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 like all these things, like it's almost docility training in a way. And I never liked that. I always kind of had a sort of a disdain for authority. And I think too, one of the reasons that I am confident is I've always done things I've always kind of taken the harder path, to where I've had to go and had my confidence. Like I've purposely chosen to break down my confidence or do things that would break down my confidence so many times that now it's to the point where there's no, you don't really have a fear. There's nothing to not be confident about. Like nothing anyone else could do could change my mind. I'm going to think the way I feel about myself and how I am. And like, that's just, I don't know. Is that kind of the answer you're looking for, or?
No. I mean, some of the stuff you said was extremely powerful, and I'm sure some of the listeners will really resonate with it. I mean, I was just talking about, you answered my question, But when you were talking about how you've been on the other side, when you became unconfident in yourself, obviously you dealt with injury, you dealt with a lack of interest for school. Did you need to get humbled a little bit before you were able to grow? So basically what I'm also going to say, and I'm going to lead to, I believe it's human nature that we need to get hit with, some failures and learn from them. And it's kind of cliche, but it's how you grow from these obstacles and come out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that true confidence too, it's so weird how people think about it, right? Like I'm outwardly confident in almost braggadocious. Like my opinions, I'm gonna go to bat for them 100%. But on the flip side of that token, I have the humility to where I'm always looking for sort of the hole in it. So like I'm going to be my biggest critic before you ever could be, right? And that allows me to be very confident because I'm thorough, right? And so, like you have to be, I needed both humbling and more confidence. I need to be humble to step back and see where I was going wrong, and then be humble or be confident in all of the talents and strength that I did have, right? And that's the one thing that I think a lot of people kind of go wrong. Like people are so binary, or not binary. They can't hold opposing thoughts in their head, right? They can't hear, be cocky and also like, I don't know. I guess it's just,
people struggle with that balance.
Yeah. And I think that the way I've been able to juggle them, or at least try to, is like I said, there's nothing you could point out to me that I probably wouldn't already have thought of. Like I'm going to judge myself 150 times harder than anyone else ever could. And I think that kind of begets true confidence. I'm very objective with myself. I think a lot of people would benefit from that too.
Now, and me personally speaking, I sometimes struggle with this. And this is something, we talked about in the beginning of the show, where things that I'm working on, these daily themes I'm focusing on. So one is, not stressing over what you can't control. Staying more present, not worrying about the past, that doesn't define you now, you're here for a reason. And then anxiety, which is like the fear of the future. The third thing that I've really strongly been focusing on, and then you kind of said this as well, is being more gentle on yourself, right? Like you could be hard on yourself. You said you're your own critic, which is awesome. I'm the same exact way, but sometimes I catch myself, beating myself up a little bit too much and not worried about, okay, you fucked up. You slipped up a little bit here. Maybe you messed up at work, or maybe you went out of character, out of your path. Like, how do you, how do you be more gentle on yourself for someone who is kind of similar to us, where we're our own worst critics or our best critics, same way?
Yeah, I think, and this is genuinely what I do. I know that I really am, like, when you read my tweets, I at least tend to think it's pretty damn authentic. Like, I don't think, there's anything on there that's not just purely me, but I'm not, I say high energy all the time. There are times when I'm a little bit lower.
Yeah, you can't. You'd be a cartoon if not.
Anytime I get into one of those funks, for me is really simple. Like I think optimism isn't a choice, right? Like when you get into that funk, I just look at myself in the mirror and I think, okay, like, yeah, I can mope, I can do all these things, but either way, the time's gonna pass. One option, like being in that negative, like focusing on those negative thoughts, is always going to be a net negative, always. And the time is going to pass regardless. So, and I'm going to die one day. So I might as well just be positive and fucking send it, right? Like that's seriously the thought in my head. Like it's going to happen regardless. And so I can sit around and be a simpering bitch about it, which is just going to waste more time, or I can sack up and go head on, right? Like, and that's seriously.
This is life. I fucking love that, dude. That was the best answer I think I've ever heard. Oh, that was good. No, you're right, man. Like when we do have these slumps or these like mood swings, it's a moment in time and it's gonna pass. I think you're right. I mean, there's one way to take it, and that's head on. You just gotta look yourself in the mirror and man the fuck up.
Yeah. And I also think too, a lot of it's like momentum, right? Anytime, anytime you're in a spot where, you're not getting as much done. And I've like recently probably gone through this, right? If I'm not getting enough done, like you need to find the smallest possible win. And for me, a lot of times it's working out, right? If I'm ever in a funk, there's no funk that putting 350 pounds on my back for reps won't fix. And, or a lot of things. Like there's a lot of little things for me that like just build momentum quickly. Like if I'm really mentally fucked up, like I'll go super OCD, I'll clean everything up, I'll go outside and get an hour of sun, and I'll go lift. And then right after that, like we're good. That's really what I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you bring that up about going super OCD and cleaning. I'm a strong believer that there is a correlation between your apartment or room being messy and then your upstairs in your own head being a little messy and
Oh,
unorganized as well.
I've been honestly slipping on that lately, and it's
Yeah,
been
it
I
shows.
yeah. Whenever I'm locked in, my everything is spotless. Otherwise, it's like I think of it like a computer, right? It's just running up your RAM, and that's RAM that could be free for other things.
I like that. I'm gonna use that. Now you talk about momentum and healthy habits. Are there anything in particular that I mean, obviously you're going to be out of funk if you don't work out. Is there anything in particular? I know it's a broad question that you have to do every single day. Like, do you journal? Do you write? Obviously you write through Twitter and it's super helpful for probably not only like an audience and us, the consumers, but yourself as well, putting your own thoughts and connecting, writing it down clearly helps.
I mean, I haven't been on it, especially since I moved. It's just been 'cause I moved to Tallahassee like coming up on I don't even know what day it is. Probably like a little over a month ago, month and a
Let's go
half.
Knowles.
Yeah, go Knowles. And I've kind of been out of whack since then, at least for as far as like my personal routine. It's just been an adjustment, doing a bunch of things differently than I was. When I was really dialed in, it would be clockwork every morning, no phone, and take that time. Even if I would open my phone, it would be to put some sort of like audio, something on, like some sort of like just positive energy, something on the speaker, and then, or set up a playlist real quick, and then sun right away and walk. That was like my holy grail. I haven't been doing it recently. It's also been kind of cold.
Yeah, and moving is also one of the biggest stressors in life too. You gotta cut yourself
Yeah,
some
it's just
slack there.
a lot of changes. And so
Yeah.
I would say that like this for me, time in the sun is a big one. I also really enjoy times where I'm just like alone and can listen to music. I know I have somewhat of a reputation as a playlist connoisseur, but
Yes, you are.
that's a big one for me. Just time where I can. It's because the music becomes almost background, and then it's very meditative. So I think anytime, really just anytime alone for me is really useful.
That's good. Um, I want to touch base on the Limitless playbook. Just when you started that, I'm excited. I signed up yesterday. Super pumped to be on board. And yeah, if you could just touch on what motivated you to start it, when you started it, and what someone. Obviously, every person is different, but what is someone going to get out of it?
Well, what motivated me to start it is really kind of start culminating all the work I've done, at least the research and work and things that I've learned, because I have a pretty hefty experience in the space. I was really, really close with my high school strength coach, and was huge. I was an avid lifter, would never miss a lift for any reason at all, in high school. And then, I went to college and had a couple, college strength coaches that I learned a good bit from. I was always very, even back to when I was like 12, right? Like I was always a good athlete, but I was never like that, like LeBron James or anything close to that, but I always wanted to be, right? And so I always sort of had a keen awareness to all of these things and always wanted to get better, because for the longest time, that's all I wanted to do was play sports. And so I've done a lot of research through the years. And I also too, when I was like 14 or 15, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune illness. And I just like wouldn't accept it at all. And now I'm at the point where, I've tried so many things and like started to really understand human biology to a point where, I haven't taken anything for that in 2 years and I'm fine. Don't go to the doctor anymore. I don't go see the endocrinologist. And I think that, and I've just always gravitated towards health and performance in these things. And I think that I want to keep doing more and more and more. Like, again, I'm not satisfied at all with the Limitless playbook. And I've talked to people and, Kevin, my partner, and I are working on a number of different, like, I think we can make it so much better. And really the motivation for it was just simply knowing where I started at and the results I wanted, and then like going through the fire to learn all of it. And really wanting to share that with other people, because when you really are locked in from, physically, mentally, your health, all of these things, there's a certain kind of power I use the word vril a lot, right?
Yeah.
Certain kind of power you feel when you have that, when you're doing all these things, and it's really, you do feel kind of limitless. It's kind of like a stimulant feeling.
Yeah. I mean, all those things, it comes together as one, like your mind, your body, your performance. You get that. What is it? The
Vril. Yeah.
Vril. Can you harp on that?
I'm pretty sure it has some sort of like, honestly, I'm pretty sure that word has some sort of like like super right winger. Like, I don't even know. It's just like power, essentially. Like, it's just like feeling in your bones. Like it's
a tingly sensation of a stimulus.
Yeah, you're just fucking torqued up. I love that. It's like my favorite thing in the world.
I know the exact feeling that you're talking about. It's like you're on cloud 9.
Yeah, you're literally you're just zoned in. You could do anything. You could run through the brick wall behind me if you wanted to. Like, anything you want to do, you can do it.
Yeah, but like you said, you got to be locked in. You can't have these outside distractions. And I just want to go back real quick. You talked about when you first started getting dialed in and when you first started this Twitter account, you cut a lot of people out. And that kind of stuck with me because same thing, was, super social and stuff like that. Still am. But I got off Instagram. Like, I was going through one day. I was like, I don't give a fuck about these girls, like these guys I went to high school with, like some of these like 2-bit hacks I went to college with. I don't really care what you're doing anymore. Like, you have my number. Reach out to me if you want to talk to me. I was studying for an exam at the time. And I was just like, this is just a distraction to me. I was like, this isn't making me better. It became like toxic. So I was like, I eliminated that. Was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I feel like when you got to be locked in, you got to cut out what's not working for you, whether that's, binge drinking. I'm not saying you can't party. I know you drink, but like, cutting out certain aspects of your life that don't work for you, but you're stuck in this spiderweb of toxic habits and cycles.
Yeah. So it wasn't really when I started because I've been building this Twitter account for almost a year now, really, when I was actively like posting and creating content. But I was lurking on Twitter for and on this, sort of community for probably 10 to 11 months. It's like from January 2019 to like December 2019. And then December, I started posting stuff. But for that period because December 2018, I dropped out of college. And then I worked at the ski resort in my hometown for 5 weeks, saved up some money, whatever. And then I moved to Florida, by myself on my own, didn't know anybody. And so that I really pretty much cut off everybody for that time. I met people obviously, but even the people that I was meeting, they weren't really the people I wanted to be around. So I really didn't I was seriously lone wolfing it for probably 4 or 5 months before I started doing external stuff again. And it was did that really help me? Probably not. It was good.
We still are humans. You need social interaction.
Yeah, for sure. And it was I'm glad I did it because I found out a lot of things about myself, but at the same time, probably not that helpful. it's just at that point, it just becomes LARPing about progress, right? And I was, in a way, I was just like consuming way too much things instead of just doing shit. And I also think too that you shouldn't cut off. Like, I have a lot of really, really good friends from high school and from college and things like that, that they'll always be my friends, even if, they're not. Like, I think that you shouldn't cut off people like that, like people that are genuinely care about you and you care about them. Like, don't cut people off like that, which I know a lot of people, oh, they're not cut out for it. Like, you can distance yourself. You can do your own thing. But at the end of the day, if you have to completely like never talk to someone ever again, you probably don't have very good self-control, and you should probably work on that. But I totally agree. Like, you need to be around the type of people who are, it's just a mirror, and it'll always drag you back to, like, the people you surround yourself with will always drag you to their level, whatever that is. And so if they're not going up, you know which way you're going, right?
Yeah. And I like that you said that too, because you do need those people. And I just want to make it clear, got off Instagram, but I still am best friends with like 20, 50. There's a group of like 15 of my best friends from college. We all played the cross together. We talk every single day in a group chat. We still shoot the shit, and we're fortunate enough to live in the city together after college. So now we're all kind of dispersed. We talk every single day. We got a little virtual happy hour tomorrow. So you're right, though. You need that human connection. And even if someone's not seeing you eye to eye and you guys aren't on the same wavelength right now, you need a friend group. And I do have that. So thankful. I think they're gonna listen to this. But you're right. You gotta surround yourself with good people. You gotta surround yourself with kings. And that's what I like about this community so much.
Yeah, it's great. I really like it for that aspect, and if you don't have anyone good around you, you can go find the real guys on Twitter, and there you go. If you need somebody to talk to, you can talk to them there.
All right. Real quick, just to end, I want to talk about, like, people talk about like the new normal. Is that having an effect on Logan at all? Like, people like this outside noise. What is this garbage?
I mean, not really.
Yeah.
I say normal. Everything's open here, so like,
sure.
It's
not.
You're
really, in Florida.
Yeah, it's really a big deterrent on my life right now. But if it does become one, I won't accept it.
Good.
That's just, and this is, I think, so many people post stuff about how, like, the mass, like the anti-science-ness, and it's become so political too. But like, I just have a different perspective on health. Like, I could care less. You could shoot COVID into my veins and I wouldn't get sick, because I take care of myself. And, if you're at risk, like for my grandparents, like, I want them to stay inside. I want them to be careful. They've had health issues, whatever, but like, I'm not going to stop my life because you're scared, because you don't have the discipline to take care of yourself. And quite frankly, I won't accept anything else.
Yeah, I would love to argue with you, but I would love to argue with you. I have the same exact mindset. I would rather die than live in fear and be like controlled by these guys.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, it's just absurd to me, like, you don't get sick. But like I said, I just have a fundamental view of health, and I have this view of health with everything, right? Like, you don't prep for the problem. Like, you prep your defense, right? Like, there's always going to be viruses, and it's just, and we could go on, and I could go on a tangent. I won't accept, like, the new normal. Like, I'm not buying any of that. That's for the birds in my book. They can come and arrest me, I guess.
And one quick thing I love that. One quick thing, supplements, vitamins you're taking to keep the defense wall strong, to keep that Logan Fitz frame strong.
I take all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is probably unnecessary.
What are the main for the common Joe? Even though we're not common, we are elite, we are kings, we're fucking animals. For me, I'm vitamin D. I have a multi, zinc, vitamin C. Yeah, those 4 are my main. I know you take way more, but
I'm not big on multivitamins. I think definitely the D, if you can get it from the sun, like, do that instead. When I don't get any, I'll take that. I'm pretty sure, like, take vitamin D if you're not getting enough sun, I would say. Definitely vitamin C, like a mega dose vitamin C anytime I'm feeling sick. Zinc, magnesium is a huge one everybody should be taking.
Okay.
magnesium. For the explicit, for like COVID and stuff, like I would, if I was like really, really worried, I would like drink a shit ton of like tonic water. It has quinone, which is a derivative of hydroxychloroquine.
Listen up, everyone.
The quinones. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Like things like NAC help your lung function. There's thousands of things you could take. I mean, B vitamins. I would say if you're taking vitamin C, zinc, and magnesium, you're probably going strong. You could add in other stuff here and there as fit, but I would say those three are the main ones. And the other big thing is not really something you need to add. It's really subtraction, right? Get off all of these. Like so many people are drowning in blue light. They're on their phone constantly, which I'm on my phone more than I should be. But,
people aren't exercising, but you're right. The blue light, lack of exercise, there's other shit that you can cancel out.
Eating real food, probably, I would say, I mean, I'm not going to make claims because that'd be irresponsible, but like eating real food will get you half of the way there, right? Like, and that's a part of, the bug man doesn't want you to eat real food either. It's all part of the thing. They want you to Postmates the soy
Uber Eats, Seamless, Grubhub, consumer. Yeah. Oh man, dude, you are a man of many hats, dude. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been an awesome discussion. This was a conversation. Once you said yes to it, not gonna lie, I was super excited to have you on. Even more thrilled with the results. I'm glad we got this talk. Logan, thank you again for coming on. Anything else you want to say?
I don't have anything for you. If you're listening, just keep your energy up. Just keep winning, baby. That's it.
That's it. That's the goal. Logan, man, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Of course, brother.
Later, bro.